Welcome to the Living Superhuman Fitness Podcast, where we take you inside our gym, CrossFit Palm Beach, each week. It's here that we are creating new superhumans every day, transforming people's lives, helping them reach a level of health they never knew possible. We strive to answer your most burning questions on fitness, health, nutrition, training, motivation, mindset, lifestyle, and more. If you have a question, please email us at info@crossfitpalmbeach.com. You can also learn more on our blog, livingsuperhuman.com. And if you have a moment, we'd love a review from you on iTunes. All right, it's time. Let's stop being average and start living superhuman.
This is Chasing
Welcome
Excellence.
to CrossFit Palm Beach.
Hey guys, welcome to the Living Superhuman Fitness Podcast. My name is Andrew Frezza, and we are joined today by an excellent group.
Katie Richardson.
Zach Egan.
Melissa Dixon.
And today we're going to be talking about how to know when to transition from BeachFit to CrossFit, or if you should transition at all. And we're going to be talking about why you may want to transition, what are the benefits of doing CrossFit. We'll talk about some great reasons to switch, some things that we hear that are very encouraging reasons, but then also on the flip side, some bad reasons to switch, things that we hear where we kind of take a step back as coaches and say that person's probably not going to actually be successful in CrossFit if that's the reason for switching. And then how to kind of self-assess whether you're ready and how to utilize your coaches to get ready or to figure out what you need to work on in order to be ready for CrossFit if you do want to make the switch. Okay, so we're going to go right into just some good reasons to make the transition. And these are things that if we hear our athletes saying these things, we get excited because we know they're going to be a really good fit for CrossFit. So Melissa's going to kick it off. What's the best reason you like to hear for people making the switch to CrossFit?
I think the first thing that, like when I see a member who's ready and I identify that they're ready, it's because they're really in tune. They've become in tune with their body, and they're asking about the higher level skill gymnastics. Like, I want to start kipping pull-ups. I want to be able to do, handstands, or that looks really cool. Yeah, rope climbs. They start asking and are very intrigued by the stuff that we leave out in BeachFit, or they start feeling that empowerment of like, I know I can lift these heavy kettlebells. I want to feel what it's like with a barbell. Like they're really eager to bite off more.
Yeah. I think too, something to mention with that, which is definitely a reason why you would want to come and do CrossFit, just from like a programming side as we're setting up BeachFit. The reason why we don't have that in BeachFit is because we want to create an environment where someone can come right off the street and jump in. And then we don't want to throw an athlete that doesn't have those skills into CrossFit because it takes away from the experience of all of our CrossFit athletes. So, knowing that, that's, if that's something that you want to take on, you're going to have to enter into that transition process because we'd love to do all of it with everyone, but it doesn't fit our model for BeachFit. And so that would be a great reason to transition.
Yeah, it's a progression of kind of taking things step by step. And when you first walk into the gym, even if you have experience elsewhere, what we do in here is so different. So it's really getting those basic lifts down, getting the squats down. It doesn't matter if you're squatting with body weight or squatting with a dumbbell or doing wall balls. A squat's a squat for the most part. And we don't want you doing squat cleans until you've kind of gotten one piece of it mastered. So it's really great in a lot of ways that people can go to BeachFit and just kind of focus on pieces of the skills that happen in CrossFit. And then in CrossFit, almost everything that we do has its associated skill in BeachFit. It just might be a combination of those skills. Like a rope climb is kind of like a strict knees to elbow in a lot of ways, or a strict knee tuck. There's a lot of things that translate there, but now we're just kind of adding more into it. So that's really key, is kind of mastering those basics over there, so that way when you do want to make that switch, you got it down.
Yeah, for people that are in here, if we're going to scale a rope climb, we're going to give rope lowers. And in BeachFit, that is the common movement that we're doing. So you are getting prepped to move into something like that if you want to. You have that available to you in BeachFit.
I think there's a certain type of person who starts off with BeachFit kind of knowing they want to eventually come to CrossFit, and BeachFit's really good at taking the intimidation out of it, of like empowering people who don't really know if they're capable of doing CrossFit, but they are like right on the verge. They want to do it, and then they start BeachFit and they start seeing like, wow, I am progressing really fast. I am able to do these things, and it really serves that purpose for them to show them what they're capable of and how hard they're capable of pushing, and then it's easy for them to jump over onto the side.
Sorry, go ahead.
I also feel like with that, like you said, those foundational movements where once you start to master those, that's what gets me excited of like, oh, okay, this person's almost ready to come over because they start to see in kettlebell swings, they're hitting that aggressive hip extension. They understand the timing of the press, or they understand the timing on a wall ball, and all of a sudden I'm like, okay, this can all carry over really well. Now when I stick a barbell in your hands, it's not completely foreign to you.
Yeah.
So I think that's my favorite, is watching them really get a command of those foundational movements, because I know that transition over is smooth because all it is a matter of changing the apparatus as opposed to trying to reteach everything from scratch. They don't even know how much they already know until they come over.
They start becoming really body aware.
Yeah, and there's a lot of fear around the barbell, and it's kind of funny because if you just came off the gymnastics cert, and with the gymnastics cert they talk about like doing stuff on the bar versus the rings. The bar is easier than the rings. And when you take that same application to dumbbells versus the bar actually is technically easier than dumbbells or kettlebells, because dumbbells are free. They kind of move separately, whereas the bar is together. So there's a lot of intimidation and fear around the bar, but actually in some ways it can be easier because it's providing stability through the hands. So I think what's cool about that is now, though, it becomes easier to go heavier, challenge yourself a little bit more, add some weight. So someone who feels like they're really getting a hang of those dumbbell movements, I mean, I think they'll have no issues with the bar, and to have that fear really, it doesn't really have a place if you've already done well with what's over there.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of people transition over and become very acclimated to what we're doing quickly, like within a week or two. And they do so much dumbbell work in BeachFit, they're prepared. One thing I heard you say, which made me think of this, was people come into BeachFit and some of them do have an idea, hey, I would like to do CrossFit. And I think that there's a big group of those people, but we don't hear about it. And so even though we are going over, ways to figure out whether or not you're ready for BeachFit, I think the number one thing is you tell your coach that that's in your mind. Because if you tell myself or one of our coaches in BeachFit, hey, I would like to do BeachFit, whether it's transition now or transition later, it's something that's on my mind, we can either say, yeah, you're ready, let's transition you, or we could say, you're not ready, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, what I think you should be focusing on. And sometimes it's just a talk of like, hey, your intensity and your intentionality inside the workout is just not quite there, and you're gonna need to have that if you wanna move over to CrossFit. So right from the beginning, we can have that conversation, and we can set you on a trajectory to go to CrossFit faster if we know as coaches that's something that you wanna do. So it's just having that conversation. That's probably before we, above all and anything else, would be having your conversation with your coach, if that's a thought that you have.
Yeah, and when we have that conversation, the things that really become red flags for us, I mean, one of the big ones for me is hearing like BeachFit is too easy. Yeah. And I feel like I need to do CrossFit because I'm not being challenged by the BeachFit workouts anymore. And that's really a red flag to me, because BeachFit workouts, because of the simplicity of the movements and the length of the workouts, they do actually tend to be longer workouts than CrossFit. You should, on average, be able to have a day, like every day you should come away feeling like you really worked hard. Like you should always be sweating a ton and feel like you work hard. And sometimes in CrossFit, if you're untrained, you could go through, like we did a workout this week, timed out Elizabeth, it was 4.5 minutes of work. If you don't know how to tap into that intensity to really work at the level you need to work for 4.5 minutes, you're gonna really feel like you did nothing in CrossFit. So if you're coming away from BeachFit saying it's too easy, you might potentially see that to a larger degree in CrossFit, because now you're not going heavy enough, you don't know how to push to that intensity. So what I'd love to see here instead is like rather than saying it's too easy, is saying, hey, I'm finally starting to get a hang of the movements in BeachFit. I'm feeling more confident. I'm feeling like every day I have the ability to push myself. I'm starting to, rather than me just trying to get through the workouts, now I'm pushing into the workouts. 5 minutes into a workout, I'm actually starting to hit that second wind and go up 10% in intensity. Those would be better ways, or better things that we would want to hear from someone who's ready to make the switch, rather than it's too easy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can think of a couple examples of athletes right now who they're good athletes, they're ready for CrossFit, and every workout hurt for them. And it was getting to a point where they were getting more painful. At the same time, they were realizing, and of course they had a conversation with me and we were able to talk this out, but they were beating the time caps by multiple minutes. We would say the ideal weight is X, and they were going heavier than X. Workouts where we'd say, hey, here's a goal in this minute interval of burpees, let's say you should be able to get 10, and they're getting 15 plus. Now they're ready.
Right.
They're ready. But every workout the more simple the workout, the worse it would get for them. And that's really what it should be. If you're a good athlete and you go over to CrossFit or go over to BeachFit, if you're giving 100% of your effort, that workout is going to hurt a lot because you're going to do a lot of reps and you're going to do it for a long time. And so if they're too easy for you, there's usually something to look at there. Not every time, but most of the time there's something that you're missing while you're doing it.
The saying in CrossFit's always been, the workouts don't get easier, you just get better. You get be able to push harder. And I mean, all of us, I think, primarily do on average more CrossFit than BeachFit, and we always get our ass kicked over there in BeachFit. There's never a truly easy day over there. So just something to think about if you're feeling that way.
I never cherry pick CrossFit workouts. I cherry pick BeachFit workouts because there's ones where I'm like, nah, it's too hard. I am not going to demolish myself like that today, because if you know how to apply intensity like CrossFit has taught me how, I'm looking at this 20-minute workout and the movements in them and going, not today. Like, I need to be fresh for tomorrow, so that's not going to be my choice workout,
Yeah.
They're hard. They're tough.
Very tough.
When I think about like the challenge that comes with that transition to CrossFit, for me, one of the biggest challenges in CrossFit is the true breadth of time domain that we see and intensity levels that we see. So in a given week in CrossFit, you could literally have Grace, which is an under 3-minute workout, and you could have an hour-long workout in that same week.
Might have that next week, actually.
And I think that is really cool from a growth mindset perspective of like, okay, I'm really good at these steadier state, longer workouts that I'm seeing in BeachFit. I'm pretty good when I see the intervals, but what if someone threw a super short interval at me the same week they throw a super long one? Would I be as equipped to handle both? And when I think of like, is CrossFit more challenging? I'm thinking it's more, when I'm strategizing, CrossFit becomes a lot more challenging because all of us have that sweet spot, that like pain that we like to do, and then we all have that pain that we don't like to do. And I feel like in CrossFit, you really see that true breadth of, you're gonna suffer for 30 seconds and it's gonna feel horrible, or you're gonna suffer for 45 minutes, have fun, and you really can see that full breadth of it.
Yeah, there's definitely a chance to get more exposure to those weaknesses on a consistent basis. And like you said, if you have that growth mindset, you will thrive in a CrossFit environment, because you're not going to see weaknesses as a bad thing. You're going to see as opportunities for growth, and that's where a beach fitter who's thinking about making the switch could really, this could be the environment they actually thrive in more so than a beach fit environment.
Another kind of like talking about growth mindset, for athletes that we will hear, I want to get more in-depth coaching, or I want to be coached more, and I want to be challenged by what the coach is expecting of me. And that's a great sign that you're ready for CrossFit. Not that we're not coaching in BeachFit, we certainly are coaching, but we're coaching differently. We're coaching to manage the class and keep it running smoothly, keep it flowing, especially when you have a lot of newer athletes with more experienced athletes. That has to be a focus, but also focusing on very basic, very fundamental cues to get people to move the best we possibly can and to maximize their potential on those fundamentals. In CrossFit, we can go a couple layers deeper than that because that's what we're expecting our athletes to be ready to take on and be wanting to take on. And so if that's something that you're thinking of, like I want to be mentally, emotionally, and physically challenged more by the coaching staff,
Yeah.
CrossFit is probably something you'd be thinking about doing.
And two like really specific things that play into that is one, 60 minutes of class time. So we have that extra 15 minutes, and generally as part of that 15 minutes, there's going to be a more detailed breakdown of the skills, whether that be snatch progressions or working on the basics of the hollow and arch on a toes to bar, stuff like that. And then the coach to athlete ratio. We a lot of times have in our bigger CrossFit classes 2 coaches, because we feel like it's really needed from a safety standpoint in movements like the snatch or toes to bar, stuff like that. So those 2 things really play into what you're saying of being able to give more detailed coaching on the floor.
Yeah,
sorry.
No, we're in CrossFit, we're coaching the hollow hold because it's translating into toes to bar, translating into muscle ups, into the higher skill stuff. So we're coaching them with a different intention. In BeachFit, we're coaching them for a good workout, to get you sweaty, to get you, body aware, but really just to get you beach ready. You know, we really want you to get fit. Not necessarily to progress into a skill. So we're not looking at it with as keen of like in the microscope of CrossFit like we do, because we're not thinking about how it's going to translate for you into a muscle up. We're just thinking about what's best for you in that moment.
One thing I think of with like a snatch progression you were talking about, that's a great way to know if you're not good for CrossFit too.
Right.
If the idea of holding positions and learning fundamental positions with a barbell, and that being slower, you're not going to be out of breath. You're going to be challenged by thinking about how to move perfectly and how to move the best that you possibly can in that skill. That's going to be slower. That's going to be at times can be a little bit. I don't know what the word.
It can be boring if you don't have the right mindset. Yeah.
So if it's something that doesn't sound like your cup of tea, then you're probably not a good candidate to move over to CrossFit, because you are going to be expected to slow down and to move well. And if that isn't happening, you're going to get slowed down even more for safety purposes, because the movements we do, if they're not done well, they can be dangerous. So we want to, that's always going to be our top priority. So if that's something that doesn't sound like a fun time, then I would stick with BeachFit, because you're going to have a lot more of that fast-paced workout. Yeah,
you got to have that love for learning, and I think as you're still in that BeachFit environment, assess like how do you pay attention to the coach when they're going over the warm-up, going over the workout of the day. If you're listening with the thought that I've heard this a million times, you will probably not be successful in CrossFit. If you're learning every day, thinking about, okay, how can I find that one little nugget that Zach's going to give that's gonna make my slam balls that more efficient, gonna make my kettlebell swings that more efficient, because regularly our coaches are putting those little nuggets in, and if you're paying attention, you'll pick them up. And if you're not, you're gonna miss a lot of that stuff, and the people who are missing that stuff are usually not gonna do well in the CrossFit environment, because you're not really excited for the learning process.
Not speaking negatively about our BeachFit population, but I know, having the perspective of being a new coach and being coached by Katie and being coached by Zach as a BeachFit athlete, I know that I'm saying the stuff that I've heard them say when I explain a workout, but someone will say, oh, you explained it exactly. Like, you said a reverse V-up when I did a burpee. And I'm like, well, I got it from Katie. You know what I mean? Like, I know that I've been standing next to you in a workout and she's said it, but since I'm new, they're paying attention to what I'm saying differently. And if that's what it takes for you, you might be a person who's having a lot of ego around this, or you're not very coachable, and that's not something that we really want moving into CrossFit, because you have to be humble, you have to be eager, you have to be, it doesn't matter who's coaching, it matters it matters that you are investing in yourself and paying attention to those cues when they're given, and not just zoning out and thinking about breakfast.
Yeah, I thought that was a great point. Just analyze how you pay attention to what's going on. And if you are really detail driven with how you're listening to the workout of the day and the warm up and the explanation, if that's something that you go and get a sip of water, go to the bathroom and come back when the workout starts, you're probably not ready to take on CrossFit's curriculum.
Yeah. Cool. I want to talk about another thing that we hear. It's not quite as common as the BeachFit's too easy, but I'm not losing weight at BeachFit. So, the thought is that, okay, if I advance to CrossFit, that's going to help me with specifically this weight loss goal. And I think a lot of that, BeachFit is providing enough intensity there, enough regular workout schedule there. There's 7 days a week of BeachFit classes, so there's no shortage of classes to choose from. That if you're coming consistently, the difference is not more classes or different style of classes, it is nutrition or sleep or something, lifestyle, or effort. So, what stuff, have you guys had success? What are the kind of the roadblocks on a weight loss perspective? Can we get a little bit more specific with that?
Look at their class attendance.
Yeah.
Are they only coming twice a week? I mean, if you're an athlete who's saying, I'm not getting enough out of this, and you're only going 2 or 3 days a week.
We've had a lot of those situations.
How can you invest more into the time you're putting into this, first of all, without even looking at nutrition? Are you doing things outside of BeachFit that are counteracting it? Are you have a full plate and you literally cannot make it to the gym? Or is there more time you can carve out in your schedule to dedicate to fitness? Because just adding CrossFit to what you're doing, and you're only going to do CrossFit 3 days a week, it's not a magic pill.
Right.
Yeah. We see the two sides of it. You see people who come 2 to 3 times a week and they're like, well, I'm not losing weight. It's like, well, you really need to be here 4, 5, 6 times during the week in order to get over that edge. At the same time, if you are coming 4, 5, 6 days a week, 7 days a week, and you're not losing any weight, then it's just as an easy of an analysis there. It's definitely a lifestyle or nutrition issue. And we see both, probably equally as much on both sides. Sleep is an awesome example. Water, I know a lot of people that come in, they struggle during their workout because they haven't drank enough water during the day. Like, well, I realize I haven't drank water in a couple hours. It's like, you're human. Like, you have to drink water all day, all the time, and especially if you're going to do this all week long.
Coke has water, right?
A little bit.
With the coffee.
A little bit.
Coffee has water.
Coffee,
that's probably more common in our crowd. Coffee has water. Coffee has a ton of water.
Yeah. We love our coffee, so we're trying to hate on the coffee. But there are different things that you have to consider: nutrition, lifestyle. There's a lifestyle to being a fitness person, and if you don't know what they are, then come ask us, because we're very passionate about sharing what those things are to you. So you got to get those right, in addition to training all day or training all week.
Yeah, I think that realization that 23 hours you're not here, especially if weight loss is your goal, is way more important than the hour that you're here. It is. It's how are you sleeping? It's how are you refueling after you've gone and worked really hard? Or are you setting yourself up by failure by working really hard, driving to Dunkin', getting 6 donuts and a coffee, and being like, okay, I'm great, now I'm gonna go crush my day. Like, you just spent an hour working really hard, doing something really good for your body, and then went ahead and did something super counteractive for your body. And then the other thing that I see a lot, and I'll see it with people who decide to pull doubles, is I know I'm going out tonight, so I'm doing 2 workouts. And I'm like, that's not really the approach I would suggest taking. I would not treat this as a punishment for I'm going out with my friends later.
Or a Band-Aid to bad habits.
Yeah.
And it might work sorry, I didn't mean to cut you.
Go ahead.
It might work once, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I did an extra workout because I had a long weekend. But like, if you're every Friday you do 2 workouts, so Saturday you can have beer and wings and pizza, it will catch up to you. You'll not be able to sustain that, because what you put in is always going to be more important than what you're doing with your body.
And those beer and wings are still affecting you on Monday for Monday's workout. So you're in turn ruining the start of your next week.
And your sleep's all jacked up because your diet, and then it's all just this trickle down effect. It's this cycle of garbage.
I think on the weight loss topic too, like the logic there is I can move heavier weights with a barbell, and heavier weightlifting is going to spark some kind of metabolic change, which we're doing Metcon every day, where we're not necessarily doing all Metcon in CrossFit. So we're doing heavier lifting where they're failing to put the intensity in the workout like we were talking about. They're failing to pick up the heavier kettlebell, pick up the heavier dumbbell. The things that are actually harder about BeachFit, they're not making it harder. They're sticking to the 7.5 pound dumbbell. They're sticking to certain things, and you look at that athlete and you say, if you are not challenging yourself, if you're relying on a coach to challenge you and tell you to pick up a heavier weight, then this isn't for you, because there's no one over here on this side that's going to say, yeah, you're ready, move on. Yeah, you're ready.
Yeah.
You know, like, we're not in the business of telling you when you're ready. That's all in your body. So I see the person taking ownership in their fitness, and that's when I know they're ready.
Yeah, and it's there's got to be this constant balance of technique with then challenge, right? So there's also the ego side where we can challenge ourselves with no regard to technique and just keep trying to get that heavier weight, and then that leads usually to injury or overtraining. But I think once you get the hang of movements, and it's like, this is about it, as good as I'm going to ever move this weight. Now this is a chance to say, oh, could I do 5 pounds more? You know, could I go up 1 color on the kettlebell and try it? You know, there's always the option, especially in BeachFit, you do round 3, you do it a little bit heavier, and then round 4, you go back to the lighter weight if it didn't work out. Like, there's so much flexibility there, and I think sometimes people think that if I grab that heavier weight, then that's what I always have to grab. And, you know, try something out, feel it out. It may happen in one workout, you know, and then the next workout it doesn't because it's more repetitions the next day. Like, but definitely, I agree. You have to take ownership of that side of progressing. Yeah. There's a couple other things I want to hit on, just, you know, really on the logistics side. Like, another advantage of switching over to CrossFit is you have more class times to choose from, which is really cool. You can do CrossFit or BeachFit. You can kind of cherry pick a little bit, and I actually would recommend when you're starting out, you do kind of do some cherry picking. I think one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they switch is they go from doing, okay, I was doing 4 days a week of BeachFit, now I'm going to do 4 days a week of CrossFit. But, like, feel free to make it 2 and 2 or 3 and 2 or whatever you want to do to kind of ease your way over here. It doesn't have to be a 100% switch. I think most of our ideal clients do a combination of both. They're never 100% CrossFit anyways. So having those class times to choose from, you know, maybe you're feeling sore on a movement and you're like, wow, the BeachFit workout lines up so much better for, you know, my soreness. Like, I don't want to keep pounding that same body part today. I want to do BeachFit today. I know it's not as competitive over there. There's no real, like, performance sport to shoot for. So, like, I know I can take it easier over there in that sense. I think having those options is good. It's a good thing.
Yeah, that's what all of our coaches do.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we all do it. A lot of our coaches do BeachFit, and we do classes because that's part of our culture. But we do BeachFit because we know we're trying to add in some extra workouts to get it in with our clients. We want to work out with our clients. And I guess I could speak for myself. Like, I know I have a lot of other workouts to do in that day. So I'm going to go over there, use a really light weight, and just work out with my clients. That's, you know, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. I think we've talked about it in another podcast before about how your workout should feel good sometimes. It should be fun. You know, if using a 50-pound dumbbell for me is going to get kind of uncomfortable, and that's not my intention for the workout, I'm going to go lighter. I'm going to go lighter, even though I can definitely do a heavier weight. And you have that ownership, and that's what we always are preaching to people, is take ownership of what's going on in your body and going on with your workouts.
And it's a great opportunity to practice something that you don't do all the time over here. So, I mean, even just this morning, like, it's very rare that we'll do women's height on a box jump will be 24 inches. But over there, where it's not this competition and I'm not looking to the board of, well, is this the performance or is this the sport? And you're not tied up in that you can actually go, okay, I'm going to challenge myself to get better at something that is something I typically struggle with, and without regard to a scoreboard at all. And that's kind of cool, because it really, as much as I try to, like, not be super competitive, I always am going to be. So it's nice that when you throw that out and all of a sudden it's like, okay, this is something I want to work on today. And you can really approach it with, this is an opportunity for me to get better, as opposed to, did I beat this person next to me?
Yeah, and that's important because you need to have that environment to work on that. And you also know that it is detrimental to the people around me in CrossFit to go 75% in this workout today. Because the people in CrossFit are looking at the whiteboard, because those numbers, that's why the standards are important, because then you can tell from everyone else around you. You watched how they work out, you know what the standard is, they did exactly that, this is the time they got. And you can start to determine, where do I need to push, where can I get better, what is a good goal for me on this particular workout, and that's why we have the whiteboard, and that's why we have it in CrossFit. And so it has its place, and it is important to do that. And so BeachFit gives you that CrossFit more competitive athlete. It gives you an environment to work on skills and to work on things, and to not do that in the CrossFit environment where that is important. It is important to have those things. So.
And yeah, I want to talk about that aspect from the mindset of someone who's been in BeachFit for a while, who's coming over, and they start to feel that kind of competitive side. They feel that kind of switch in this class versus a BeachFit class. It's really important to put your ego to the side with it, because you know it's your journey. You have to own your journey, and if you start to play that comparison game too soon, it's going to really it's going to damage your progress. You know, like you're going to be surrounded by people that have been doing this for 6, 7, 8 years, and you're not really going to know who's who. And you might be in a class where everybody has been doing this for 6, 7, 8 years, and you've been doing it this is your first week or your first month after doing BeachFit. And if you're trying to compete on that level, it's just setting you up for failure. So.
Yeah, and you have to know that when you're walking in, and understand like that environment is there so that these people who have been doing it for 6 or 7 years, they need that push. They need the environment to be competitive. It's one of the main principles of CrossFit. It's why we do it this way, is so that you're always giving that extra 5% because of the people around you. And so when you walk in as a newer athlete, you have to be able to manage that emotion that comes out when you're in that environment. Especially people like college athletes are coming in like, we always say this, but like a younger college athlete that might be a little deconditioned from not working out for long, they're the people we have to watch the most, because that competitive fire kicks in, and they can go ham, as we like to say. So you always have to be watching them. But as a newer athlete, you know when you're coming in that you're stepping into a place that encourages a competitive atmosphere. We do encourage it. It's not priority number one, but we, you are going to work out next to somebody. They are going to say, "Come on, let's go." And that's the beauty of CrossFit. That's what makes it different than going to a normal gym.
Something I like to always address with someone that I'm transitioning over, or even if it's someone who's just stepping into CrossFit for the first time, is take a look around you and look at their faces. Everybody's feeling the same pain with whatever weight they're using.
Yeah.
Don't look at what's on their barbell. Look at how they're feeling. It just takes more weight for Zach to feel that amount of pain than it does you or me.
Right.
Like, don't worry about how it's written on the board. It's just, this is what level it takes for them to feel the intensity, period. If you stop and you take a breath and you feel like you're gonna throw up, just look around. Everybody else does too.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what they're using. Doesn't matter if they're using a heavier wall ball. Doesn't matter if they're using 300 pounds more than you on their deadlift. It's just what it takes for them at their level. So stay in your lane and get to that intensity. That's it.
And one of the easiest ways to get intensity, if you don't want to go heavier, because I don't want people to feel pressured when they come over here to go heavier, is just rest less between movements. Like, instead of taking 5 seconds between the front squats and the knees to chest, like, take a second and get right on the bar. And that's the easiest way to keep the quality of your movement up, keep the intensity of a workout super high, but to not get sloppy and not choose weights that you don't need to be doing yet. And you can focus on technique, you can focus on moving well, but you just rest less between movements. So let's talk about when an athlete approaches you guys and they want to switch, they want to make the switch, they're not sure when, they're kind of leaving it up to you to decide, and you kind of feel like, okay, they're probably ready in a month or two. Like, I wouldn't turn them over today, but I'd say, hey, if we can kind of work on these things over the next month or two, then I think you'll be ready then. What are those things that you want them to work on, you want them to see, like you want to see from them in BeachFit, so that way when they do make the switch, they're best set up to do that?
I look for when did they get to the class. That's a big thing. Because a good CrossFit athlete is going to show up 5 minutes early. They're going to foam roll or stretch or get on a bike, or they're going to do something to get themselves ready to go. So if you are chronically like 2 to 3 minutes late, you're like, we have to work on that before we're transitioning you into doing a harder workout regimen.
That's a really good point.
You know, and so-
Logistically, if our class times start 15 minutes later and you're late to the BeachFit class, then you're never going to make it on time to the CrossFit class. You'll be like the next class back too.
Yeah.
So, you
Yeah.
know, if it doesn't fit in your schedule, then, you know,
Yeah,
obviously.
If you miss an explanation of a warm-up, sometimes there's very complex elements in a warm-up too, that you miss that, and then you're playing catch-up the entire 60 minutes, which is
Yeah.
tough.
I think that's my biggest thing is how dialed in are you when we are giving that workout brief? Because every workout brief we give, we're talking about how we want you to approach the workout. So if we're explaining we want this to be something that's sustainable for 21 minutes, and you come out in the first 2 minutes and blast through it and then die for the next 19, I'm sitting there going, there's no way I can send you over to CrossFit yet because you aren't setting yourself up for success. So I want to see you being super dialed in and really challenging yourself to approach workouts smarter. So being a student of the game in that sense of, hey, is this where my elbows should be, or is this where my elbows should be? Like really, really becoming a student of those movements and a student of those workouts so that you can optimize them when you're thrown into that new situation and you can hear a coach say, I want you to be able to do this for 8 minutes, or I want you to do 8 reps unbroken. And then I'm like, okay, now I know you're going to approach the workouts over there appropriately.
Or if you're in that realm where you're still that athlete, but you want to transition to CrossFit, but you go 2 minutes in an 8-minute workout and die for the rest of the 6, what do you learn from it? What are you asking yourself in those moments afterwards and learning from this experience? Like, are you coming up to me afterwards and going, man, I really messed that one up. What could I do next time?
Yep.
Because there are those athletes in BeachFit who are messing up, but that doesn't mean you're not mentally, your mental game isn't evolving. You know,
Yep.
as long as you stay a student of the game and stay willing to learn and you're coachable, that's what I look for. I look for the person who's, hey, my back's nagging me and we've got deadlifts, but I still showed up and I'm asking you how to modify. Like,
Versus
I know.
I just didn't show up at all.
Yeah. So the person who's got the bad shoulder and can't hang on the rig for strict knees to chest, you still showed up and I got you on the ground. We're doing V-ups. You know, the person who's going to continually show up and invest in themselves and just go, I know that I can learn. I know that I can evolve, even though this is holding me back. I'm going to still, you know.
Yeah, be vocal, ask your coaches. I love to see just the virtuosity on those basic movements, like get your air squat as perfect as possible. When you're actually one really good one is what do you look like in a warm-up, right? Do you treat the warm-up differently than the workout because it's just the warm-up? And you know, a lot of times more of the basic movements show up in a warm-up and then they become more complex in the workout. Is do you treat that like, oh, this is just a basic movement, doesn't matter, I'm just kind of getting moving, or do you try to squat as perfectly as you can no matter what? Because how you do anything is how you do everything, and if you ever want to do a good squat snatch, you got to get a good air squat first. It's not going to happen, you know, you're not going to be able to turn it on just because you get a bar in your hands. So that's what I look for, is like master those basics.
Yeah. I also like, you know, the workouts, because there are workouts in BeachFit where we're saying, hey, we're recording reps today, or this workout is meant to be all out. And I'll even write it in the notes, hey, this workout is going to, if you put the correct effort, you'll be on the floor at the end of this workout. Have you ever done that? Have you ever experienced that? If the answer is no and I don't want to, then we're going to have to either break through some mental barriers or and talk about how we can start to get into those zones, or you're probably not going to like CrossFit very much.
Yeah. So if you're ready to transition to CrossFit and you want to know what the steps are, we're going to cover that right now. So first thing is to talk to a coach. Figure out if you are indeed ready, and get coaches that you trust their opinion. Get multiple coaches' opinions on that. If they deem that you are ready, then with that coach approval, you're actually going to do 2 60-minute personal training sessions with a coach to cover everything that doesn't show up regularly in BeachFit. Okay, the things that we do regularly in CrossFit that are not really done regularly in BeachFit. So a lot of your barbell movements, some of the higher level gymnastics movements like rope climbs and handstand push-ups. And our goal in those sessions is not to get you perfect at those movements, but to get you confident in where you need to be today. So if you can't do a rope climb, what are the modifications or scales that you can do that are going to get you a great workout when they show up in a CrossFit workout, but then also progress you so that someday you can hopefully get those things and do the full version. And cost-wise, this could change because you listen to this like 5 years from now, but right now it's a really great deal to do that. It's always been a great deal. It's only $219 to make the switch. It includes those 2 60-minute personal training sessions and your first full month of unlimited CrossFit and BeachFit classes. So it's almost $100 off, or it's actually over $100 off what you would pay if you were to pay for the 2 sessions separately, plus the month of CrossFit. And let's talk about the unlimited aspect of that, because a lot of people, you know, they see kind of the upper echelon people. I don't want to say upper echelon, but they see the select few people that do both CrossFit and BeachFit and are doing it as 2-a-days. So what are your guys' thoughts on 2-a-days, especially for a new transition to CrossFit?
I mean, if you're a very conditioned and I would say upper echelon athlete, you can probably get a lot of really quality work done in both classes. But for most people, they're missing something in both classes in order to do both classes. So if they're planning to do BeachFit after CrossFit, they're holding 10-15% back during CrossFit in order to go over and do that. And they're missing a lot because that stimulus,
that's where the magic happens.
Yeah, like that intensity, when you start to push into that red zone where I'm not going to be able to do another class after this, now you're really getting the effect that we're looking for. So if you're pulling back in your CrossFit workout to go to BeachFit, you're wasting some of your time in CrossFit. I hate to use that like language, but
yeah, there's 2 kinds of ways you can use BeachFit and CrossFit together. The one that you said, like if you're dealing with a big soreness from CrossFit, you can go to BeachFit today, kind of flush it out. And a lot of the people who are doing the 2-a-days, they're like never sore, and they're thinking, well, I need more, I need more, I need more. And that's because you're not hitting it with intensity on that one. You're not driving as hard as you physically could. And I mean, you're gonna get sore if you put the effort in BeachFit. You're gonna get sore if you put the effort into CrossFit. And if you're not getting sore looking at that, but the 2-a-days, when you first start out, you're learning so much, you're doing so much to your body that is different in CrossFit. I mean, if your motivation to transition is to do 2-a-days, then that's a red flag
For
from
sure.
well beyond. So, you know, look at that intrinsic motivation to do CrossFit in the first place and say, is this really what I should be doing with myself? And
as you say this, I'm kind of laughing because I'm watching out the window right now. Our BeachFit class, our BeachFit class is going on, and I've counted 5 full-time CrossFit athletes that are doing the BeachFit workout right now. Today is Thursday, so it is a active recovery day for a lot of people, and it just happens to be, Juan is one of them, Danielle is one of them. I'm just watching them run by right now, and they are athletes and they are competitive. Juan does a lot of competitions in CrossFit, and he's a good athlete, and he works really hard when he's in CrossFit. But today is an active recovery day, so he's using BeachFit as his active recovery day. I'm telling you right now, he's not going to be doing CrossFit today.
Yeah, rarely do you see him do both in a day.
Yeah, he's not going to do both.
For someone who works really hard.
I don't know if he's ever. I don't think I've ever seen him do.
I don't think I've ever seen him do both, but in one day. But he will pick and choose because he has that option with his unlimited membership. And today just fits more of what he's looking for. He just wants to move and have fun, and he's probably not going to enter his score. So it's just a mentally and physically relaxed day for him, and that's what BeachFit can provide with the unlimited membership.
Yeah, I think the biggest just mistake that people make is thinking more volume is better. And it was interesting when I had first started here. Probably my biggest physical transformation was in that first couple months, and it was going from training 4 hours a day as a college athlete to working out 1 hour a day. And people are like, you look amazing, what are you doing? I'm like, I do class and then I leave. And I didn't know, like that was all I was doing. And it was going from having practice and lifting and all that 4 hours a day down to 1 hour working really hard, being passed out in front of a fan most days. And that was it. And people were like, well, what are you doing? I'm like, this. And I work really, really hard. And I think that's the biggest thing is don't shortchange your intensity for the sake of volume, because I think that's probably the biggest mistake I'll see people make where like, I want more, I want more, I want more. And I'm like, crush yourself first before you look at me and say, tell me you want more.
Usually when I do a 2-a-day, if I do a 2-a-day, which is very rare, because let's be honest, I'm not that hardcore. But if I do a 2-a-day, it's because the workout in CrossFit is like my jam, it's so fun, and then it's a partner workout next door, and I want to go with my favorite partner and go have fun.
Yeah.
Like it's usually one of those days where it's not my active recovery day, but like I just can't choose which one. Like it's all barbell over here, it's like DT, and I want to just do DT because it's my favorite, and then it's something fun and partnery next door. Like that, it's really just because I'm using it as that fun workout, you know, not because I'm trying. I know I'm going to miss intensity on DT and not PR, and I know I'm not going to, you know, do anything with high intensity over there. So it gives me a different mental option. Gives me playtime.
I love it. All right, so let's kind of wrap this thing. We've been going for a while now. So basically, I just want to kind of wrap this up by saying that if you are a BeachFit athlete that doesn't want to make the switch, like there's definitely no reason to make the switch. Like we see, you know, we think BeachFit's a great program. We think that's probably, if you want to keep progressing, aim for some of those lifestyle things that we talked about. Aim for dialing in nutrition, dialing in sleep, you know, dialing in stress, getting outside more, all those things that can contribute to a more holistic, healthy life. It doesn't have to be progressing over here. Keep trying to grow as a person, as an athlete, and you can do that on the BeachFit side indefinitely. But if you kind of fit what we're saying and you want to make that switch, then you know there's definitely a lot of great things over here that can fulfill that need for growth. So that's it. Did you guys have anything else to add?
I think we hit it all.
All right.
Yeah.
Have a great day, guys.